I'm sorry, we have no vacancies tonight. We're fully booked.
There are some other hotels up the street. Do you know anything about them? Can you recommend another hotel?
Well, there is the Jewel Lodging House.
If it wasn't for the large fire at the Shea Wholesale Fruit Company, you probably could have gotten a room at the Jewel Lodging House. The flames from that fire ignited the lodging house while the lodgers slept, and it was all of a sudden, just like a meteor hitting it. All of this was taking place in the midst of a mighty snowstorm. With the building engulfed in flames, guests and staff scrambled to make it out onto the street. The hotel owner was dragging out a heavy trunk, and then he fell down the staircase and broke his spine. Two somewhat unconscious guests had to be dragged out of the hotel and temporarily placed in the relative safety of the slush. The horse-drawn fire wagons had a very difficult time arriving on the scenes because the streets were clogged with snow.
There's the Friendly Inn Lodging House.
All I can say is names can be very deceiving, and that's especially the case over at the Friendly Inn. Actually, the Friendly Inn can be a very threatening place. You have to be quite careful about who you're conversing with when you're over there. Not all the people there are nice folks. You know, there's a traveler named Irwin who tried to warn another guest named Dunn that somebody was eyeing his money. And he was surprised when Dunn told him to mind his own business and then suddenly slashed him with a large jackknife. The blade ripped up Irwin's arm and he ran out onto the street. There he met a friend who said he should report the slashing to City Hall. The police did come to the Friendly Inn, and they questioned Dunn about the fresh blood on his knife. He explained to them that it was only red because he used it to cut up watermelons. If Dunn is still there, I would especially not suggest getting a room there. You have to be very careful of the people at the Friendly Inn. In fact, most of the people that are there are neither friendly nor approachable.
There's the Nicollet Avenue Lodging House.
I guess you could wind up trying to get a room at the 117 Nicollet Lodging House. They might have a room, but my only recommendation is if you go there, you gotta try to ignore the crazy woman tenant who lives there. Her name is Miss Ewing. She is really bona fide crazy. She creates a great deal of panic for the guests and those around her. The problem with her is that she likes to conduct fake suicides right in front of people. She does this nonsense, like swallowing water from a bottle marked poison in front of people who live there, just for laughs. Just stay away from her and you might enjoy a peaceful night's rest.
There's the Merchant's Hotel.
A room has become available at the Merchant's Hotel due to a recent change in the ownership. The owner, Mr. Wright, who is an Englishman, was habitually drunk. He was well known to the police, and when they would find him drunk laying in the street, they would bring him home to his hotel as a matter of course. That way he didn't have to freeze to death. Wright had purchased the Merchant's Hotel on a lark, but now that all of his wealth was gone, his circumstances changed. Recently, he walked over to the dresser in his room, took out a Colt revolver, and shot himself through the head. When he was found, the dried blood on his dresser suggested that he was dead quite a while before he was found. And I would imagine that it would not be too much of an inconvenience to ask the hotel to change the dresser in the room if you needed a place to stay.
There's the Ambrose Boarding House.
I think that the Ambrose boarding house would be very well served if it had fire escapes. The boarding house is actually on the third floor of a building and it consists of several rooms. And there's nothing wrong with the rooms themselves. But behind the building, there was this lace and curtain cleaning company. And this drape cleaning company evidently kept a large supply of gasoline on hand. The disaster occurred when the vapors that were kept in the gas canisters all exploded at once. It was like an earthquake. The detonation was heard for blocks. The flames from the building soon ignited the Ambrose boarding house. As the flames were closing in, Mrs. Ambrose stood on the third floor ledge. She was threatening to jump. Her husband was begging her to wait for the firemen to come to her aid. The firemen soon came up with a ladder and they were able to save her. As a matter of safety, I think that all Minneapolis boarding houses and hotels should have fire escapes. I think that's only fair to travelers. Don't fall victim to a dangerous hotel. To get a full listing of all the dangerous places in the city, please look at the directory of hotels found at www.lordhistory.com and stay safe and have a good night's sleep.